interpreting the law. Yeah, that's part of it. Yes, sir.
And see if the law fits with the Constitution.
Determine the constitutionality of the laws passed. Yeah. Yeah. So what was my question again? What was my question again? What is the process? Yeah.
The judicial process starts when someone is arrested and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What he said was the judicial process starts with the police. I'm not a criminal lawyer, nor am I a courtroom lawyer to begin with. And see me in the courtroom, I'm probably in more in a jumpsuit and things have gone tremendously wrong. But so we determined what the judicial process is. But process, if you look in the dictionary, is a series of steps an activity must go through in order to come to a successful conclusion. So in the law, then, what is a successful conclusion? Anybody got a notion on that one? Yes, sir.
A settlement or a verdict.
Settlement or a verdict? Yeah, and that comes, you're correct, but that comes down a little bit later in the line. It's always been said that the wheels of justice move slowly, but they grind expressly strong. So, you know, it's a, yeah. You awake? You good?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure. You seem to.
I'm ready for any questions.
Oh, okay. Well, your question is, all right. Steps of the criminal law process and how it arrives at the bench of the judiciary.
I do not have the pre-knowledge statement.
All right, fair enough. Fair enough. So what we're going to be talking about is not necessarily my bailiwick or area of expertise. The evidence we're going to talk about. So someone over here mentioned Miranda rights. You cannot be arrested until your Miranda rights are given to you. Does somebody know and can say, here's the Miranda?
You have the right to remain silent, and you say it can be used against you before the law, you have the right to your attorney. You cannot afford what you're filing, and will be reported to you without charge. You understand the terms and conditions?
Fantastic. Concerned about your record. You got it. You got it. So you've been arrested, and that's what makes good arraignment. What does the judge actually decide in the arraignment? So we've got a lot of criminal laws. Let's start with the big one, murder one. Are you going to get bail for that? No. Absolutely not. Yeah. And there are lower felonies having to do with, ending someone else's life. But there are also defenses to that. Usually self-defense is the cause used. And what you need to remember about self-defense is it's not just defending yourself. You can also do a self-defense by saying, hey, the guy with the gun didn't want me, but he's going into this, house or something like that. So in some states, usually southern, more conservative states, have the stand your ground rule. Is everybody familiar with the stand your ground? Yes.
It's a code of self-defense, like how can you get a gun to defend yourself from would-be attacker? Like have to be this little distance. And there's like castle laws, laws about how to hold a home.
Right, you're talking castle doctrine. Yeah, exactly. So, what does that mean for the judicial process as far as bail goes? Well, the judge is the only person that can grant bail. Now, we're getting up to where a fellow over here said trial. That's one of the steps further down the list. But what has to happen before that is what? What is next? Yes, sir.
You have to go before a grand jury.
Grand juries sometimes aren't necessary. Usually a murder one's going to get you a grand jury. But grand juries are interesting in the fact that there is no defense allowed in there. It's the prosecution that's giving the facts to the folks that got yanked into jury duty. So it's always been said that any lawyer worth his or her salt could indict a ham sandwich. And that's what they do. Not the ham sandwich part, but it's very easy to get there. Yes, sir.
They have to select a jury or and then enter a plea.
Okay. So there are two options, and you hit on the most popular option, a jury. You being adjudicated by jury of your peers. And then the second one is, let's just end this with a plea bargain, and you take a little less hit than you would have if you would have,
Your Honor, what to do before it changes venue, my client cannot get a fair trial in this matter.
That's one motion you can make, and that's a good one usually. Dipping back into the corporate law a little bit, venue change is basically boilerplate on most documents where there's a venue. Anybody have any idea what venue the cruise lines use? Where do cruise lines get sued or sue people? Yes, sir.
Oh wait, usually they're registered in Liberia or Panama. Those are ships themselves.
Right. The ships themselves are flagged for that because you need to have a flag on you. What most of the cruise lines do is they get nice, good, cheap from Liberia or what have you. That's big business ones here. That's part of the bail. But bail being granted, what happens if you are eligible for bail? Yes, sir. Yeah, behind you. You were like,
I had my hand up.
no, this side, the next step in the process, and why this process might short circuit having a trial. What was that, sir, that you had? Somebody said, take a plea bargain, something of that nature. Was it back here? No? Okay. There you go. So, why, in God's name, if you're innocent, would you take a plea?
Just to get over with.
Just to get it over with? That's a good answer, yes, sir. what happens? What happens next? We've gone through the arrest, we've gone through pretrial motions, somebody hit around the spot, we said motion to change venue. Did we answer the question about the cruise lines where they choose to have venue? And look at the back of your ticket. Where do cruise lines usually have, their venue? Yes, sir.
Non-US.
Well, nah, if you're gonna apply US law, you better be in the United States. But you're kind of close, because this was one of the last states added to the Union.
Hawaii?
Alaska. Have you heard, about the Alaskan cruises and whatnot? Some of the companies do those specifically so they can keep the venue in Alaska. So Alaska has a small little bit of business instead of oil drilling. They have some business in also doing that as well, being a venue for folks. Delaware, for instance, in the corporate world, they're the race to the bottom of those laws too. So, yeah, that is something that all cases will have. And that's part of just, not just the criminal and judicial process, but also the transactional. And anything transactional, by transactional, I mean, is, well, who's over there? Yeah, you at the Eastern Illinois University, sure. Go ahead and answer that question. Yeah. Ah, you didn't hear the question. What was the question, gentlemen? Everybody's on a half ship back there. Sorry, what? Oh, the cruise ships in Alaska. Yeah, that's what gets them, if you're in the particular state, you do business in that state. And this has been tried before, whether or not, what they're trying to do is cause hardship. If they've got lawyers in Alaska already. Odds are, if you're from the middle of the country like us, getting up to Alaska to defend yourself is not necessarily going to be in the cards because it's extraordinarily expensive. A, to get there and then go through the judicial process in Alaska, when, you should be home for that. So what happens in that case, there are a lot of plea bargains, and the cruise lines, have the big money. They don't care necessarily how much you spend. They just don't want a precedent set that then you can be moved elsewhere. So by choosing